All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at one of the most, frankly, audacious theoretical blueprints I've ever come across. It's for an engine that doesn't just push through space, it claims to actively warp the very fabric of space-time itself. It's called the inflationary entanglement resonator, and the theory behind it, well, it's completely mind-bending. And according to the source material, which is this massive 85,000-word technical report, this isn't just some sci-fi daydream. It's actually framed as a serious research program with one single goal in mind: practical interstellar travel. Now that's an almost unbelievable claim, which of course raises a very, very big question. I mean, seriously, how could any machine possibly manipulate space-time? Well, the answer proposed in these documents is radical. It all starts by completely rethinking the most fundamental thing we think we know: the vacuum of empty space. So the secret ingredient here isn't a new kind of fuel. It's the energy that's supposedly hidden within nothingness. The whole theory is based on the idea that empty space is actually this seething cauldron of quantum potential, and this drive is designed to reach in and tap that power. Okay, so this slide gets right to the heart of it. This is the crucial leap in thinking that the whole theory rests on. Instead of seeing the vacuum as empty, passive, nothing, this Dirac fluid model treats it as a thick, quantum fluid that you can actually manipulate, a source of almost infinite energy. It's kind of like discovering that the air all around us is actually a dense ocean we can learn to swim through.
So if the vacuum really is an ocean, the documents describe this drive as a kind of propeller. But it's a propeller that spins so powerfully, it doesn't just create a wake, it creates a whirlpool so intense that it fundamentally changes the properties of the water itself. And the theoretical energy boost from this process is just staggering.
Yeah, 10 to the power of 42. According to the report, that's the energy enhancement factor you could get from what it calls a cascaded Casimir effect. Basically a way of pulling energy out of the quantum vacuum. It's a number so vast it's almost meaningless. We're talking about a godlike level of power. But, with that kind of power comes an equally massive problem. How do you control it? How on earth do you steer a process that taps into the fundamental energy of the universe without it just instantly blowing up? The system has to operate on this impossibly fine line between working and, well, catastrophic failure. This quote from the source material just perfectly captures the challenge. The drive isn't just on or off. It's described as constantly, actively riding the edge of topological instability. That's the very boundary where the structure of space-time itself could just break down. The analogy that comes to mind is like trying to balance on the tip of a needle during an earthquake. So the proposed solution is this system they call the Julia governor. It's a predictive algorithm that uses the mathematics of fractals, specifically something called Julia sets. Now, since these mathematical shapes are defined by that infinitely complex boundary between stability and chaos, the governor can theoretically use them to predict and manage the system as it operates right on that very edge. But the key here isn't just the process, it's the speed. The Julia governor is theorized to run this entire control loop every 370 nanoseconds. That is nearly 3 million times a second. It has to move at that incredible speed just to keep up with the chaotic forces it's trying to tame. But what is it actually controlling? Well, this is the ignition key. The entire quantum process is kicked off by something surprisingly classical: superheated mercury plasma, which is spun into these powerful vortices at incredible speeds. This is what creates that initial whirlpool in the vacuum that we were talking about. But of course, there's a critical problem. To actually connect with the vacuum and start pulling out energy, the plasma vortices have to oscillate at a very precise frequency. The report says the plasma's natural beat frequency is 39.4 kilohertz, but the target vacuum frequency is 42.8 kilohertz. They have to close that gap for the system to work at all. And this is where the theory gets really strange. The solution involves something called a relativistic Doppler shift, but it's one that shouldn't even be possible under normal physics. It only works because, as the drive powers up, the vacuum inside the device fundamentally changes. It becomes thick, and in doing so, it alters one of the most basic constants of the universe. We all know this number, right? The speed of light in a vacuum. It's the universe's ultimate speed limit. Constant, unchanging. Or is it? Because inside the active core of the inflationary entanglement resonator, the effective speed of light absolutely plummets to just over 25,000 meters per second. That's actually slower than some of our own spacecraft. Space-time inside this machine is being profoundly, fundamentally altered. So according to the documents, this isn't some weird side effect. It's the most important feature. This dramatic drop in the speed of light is the real-time signal that the Julia Governor is watching. It's the definitive proof that the vacuum is successfully transitioning into that energetic Dirac fluid state, the very key that unlocks the entire process.
So how does this all come together? The document outlines this absolutely breathtaking final sequence where all these pieces, the vacuum fluid, the chaos control, the plasma ignition, they all converge in less than 1 second.
This is it, the final countdown. At time zero, power surges from gigawatts up to terawatts. Just over 0.2 of a second later, the speed of light inside the core collapses. By the half-second mark, the system achieves a perfect phase lock. Every single component is synchronized with impossible precision. And then, at exactly 0.84 seconds, a stable wormhole throat over 3 meters wide theoretically forms. All of that happens in less time than it takes you to blink.
And during that tiny 0.84-second window, the Julia Governor has to execute its control loop perfectly over 2.25 million times. Every single one of those cycles is a life-or-death check on the system's stability. And this really just drives home the stakes. The theory allows for zero margin of error. A single miscalculation, one missed 370 nanosecond cycle, and the entire system would collapse catastrophically. It's the ultimate high-wire act of theoretical physics.
This all brings us to the final and maybe the most profound question that's posed by the source material. It forces you to look at the entire system in a completely new light.
I mean, think about this for a moment. What if the Julia Governor isn't just preventing chaos? What if, by operating right on that fractal edge, it's actually using that instability as a lever to pry energy from the very geometry of space-time? It would mean the entire device is a kind of controlled chaos amplifier, turning the universe's most fundamental instabilities into a source of unimaginable power. A truly mind-bending thought to end on.